We hear all the time that we need to find a way to establish some level of consistent exercise into our regular routines, but knowing what is best or convenient or even fun for the long term are questions that need to be answered. There are many activities or sports to choose from, but my personal favorite as an amateur is fencing. So let's get to the point. Georgina Love, the owner of Treasure Coast Fencing Club in Stuart, Florida. She is a veteran world's team champion fencer. And most importantly, she is my U.S. coach. George, thank you so much for coming on the show and talking about a sport we both love.
Well, thank you for having me. It's exciting to talk about it as always.
I know we go on forever. So let's start. You started fencing at age 42, and I also started fencing later in life. So after joining at age 42, walking into a recreational class at a local rec center in Fort Pierce, what was that first lesson like for someone who describes herself as clumsy and not a sports person back then?
Well, I wasn't a sports person ever. It was an interesting lesson. He took me through some moves, and he was very patient. And oddly, I was hooked from the very beginning. I just liked the repetition. I liked the fact that it was disciplined, even though I didn't know what I was doing. But it was a lot of fun, and my instructor was very patient, and that was really helpful. He made it fun, even though I struggled.
Well, that's the thing. You want it to be fun. Is it? I know for myself, if you're going to do it all the time, it has to be fun. And that's the one thing I personally find is that fencing, there's a lot of enjoyment in it. It's not just, there's a lot of technique, but there's a lot of enjoyment in every single bout that you do. So, most people think you have to pick up a sport as a kid to be any good at it. What made fencing click for you so quickly that you went from casual fun to competing? Because people might think that, wait a minute, you didn't start this as a child, you started at 42, and all of a sudden you found yourself competing and really competing well. So, how did that happen?
Well, a little bit of a surprise. I wouldn't say it came easy to me. It was a long road, a long struggle, because I was not athletically inclined. I knew nothing about sports. When my new coach I started with asked me what my favorite offensive action was, I didn't even know what he was talking about. I didn't even know what offensive meant. So it was all news to me. So it wasn't all that quick, but I fenced and I enjoyed just going to competitions and just playing around really. But what happened was somebody had said, "Hey, you should fence the veteran circuit." And I thought, yeah, that sounds like a good idea, not knowing that it was filled with former Olympians, NCAA people at college. My husband thought I was crazy.
Nothing
But I
intimidating
started
about
anyway.
that at all.
No, not at all. But I guess ignorance is bliss sometimes. That was the case. I just did it because it was something to do. And I started doing the circuit, but really it was a struggle for a long time until my new coach came. However, even though I was going and not having the success I had hoped for, it still was a good time. The camaraderie makes it good.
Mhm.
It's still fun. You're in a group of people doing the same thing with the same struggle. Sure, some are better than others, but I don't think you have to start. There are a lot of veteran champions who started late, a lot
Huh,
of them.
interesting.
I'm not the only one. I'm probably the only one without any other athletic experience, but there are a number of veteran fencers who started late, 40s, 50s, and they had become world champions.
Well, I do know I have to add this. When I went to compete at my first major competition here in Ontario, and there was only me and one other lady, so they had us fence with the men, and I ended up with gold, and I was like, "This is ridiculous," and I was just knocking myself down. And you told me on the phone while I was standing after that, and you said, "Listen, you earned that gold because you showed up, and if you don't show up, you can't earn it." So that has always stuck with me. You may think, well, hey, it's nothing, but you can't do it if you don't show up, and it takes courage to do it, and,
True.
and you've definitely
Hmm.
exhibited that. So we've got 40 seconds left. You said fencing completely changed how you move and think. Looking back, what was the biggest surprise in those early years when you were still learning the basics in your 40s? You have 30 seconds.
Frankly, frankly, that I could actually hit the target, really, because terrible like, that I could actually hit something and make it work. That was the biggest surprise to me.
Wow. That is great. Yeah, I know. It's a lot for me to think about hitting the target at the beginning, too. Okay, when we come back, we'll look at the benefits of starting at any age. Stay with us. Welcome back. Today I'm speaking with World Vet gold and silver medalist and team medalist George Love about the positive impact of fencing at any age. Now, George, you've competed into your 60s and even won golds in both foil and epee at the North American Cup in the Vet 60 category. Now, physically, what changes did you notice in your balance, agility, speed, and overall fitness after you began fencing?
Well, I think what happens is you feel more confident as you move around because obviously having the physical abilities helps. You don't always have to be super athlete to fence, which is something you have to keep in mind. It does help if you can move. I don't think about how old I am. I just go and do it. Maybe that's silly, but knock on wood,
I
it's all
think
worked
that's
out for me.
great because so much happens with our thoughts, right? I think the fact that you have that attitude is wonderful.
Yeah, I can't worry about it. I fence young men. I fence the youngsters. Sometimes I win, sometimes I don't. But the challenge and that feeling of doing something so physically intense, and when you're done, it just feels good. And I think
Mm.
that's an important aspect of anything you do, any kind of sport that you do. But especially here, I've noticed for me, um, without the abilities of, say, I wasn't a soccer player or anything like that, that I could actually do this and make it happen, that was huge. And you just keep on working, conditioning and trying to cross train and do anything you can to stay fit because it's super important as you get older to be able
Yeah.
to get up out of a chair, around, walk, do all these
So it
things
really
that you
helps
take
with
for
the
granted.
balance and strengthening and your core
Yeah,
and
it does. I really think it does. You got to be fast on your feet to some extent and not trip over your own feet, which I'm pretty good at. I've
I'm
tripped
good at
over
doing
blades of
that too.
grass. So oh, I watch the balls, that sort of thing. Oh, frankly, sometimes I'm amazed I can even do this. I really am. But
But
I
you know,
think it's mind over matter.
as you've shown me though, you've gone through a lot of physical, accidents and things that you've had to work on. And I have to fence
Right,
with a brace on my
right.
ankle and things like that. But I've seen people that they can't move, but they learn the technique and they're still able to
Oh, sure.
fence.
Yeah, they do. They have the technique and having the mindset, the hand skills. We know the mutual world champion who you and I both know that
Mhm.
she's the only
Yeah,
person I know who can leave an event in a wheelchair and still take third because
exactly.
she's just tough, not going down. And a lot of them, I tell you in all honesty, once the adrenaline and the willpower kicks in,
Mm.
you can do it. I fell when I was in Germany in my very first world championships. I tripped over something going out a door and fell on my shoulder. I could hardly pick my arm up. And my teammates wondered why I didn't scratch. Well, I didn't scratch because I was going to fence the team event that day. And I never in my wildest dreams thought I would do well enough to do that. So I was not scratching. And when I got on the strip, my arm hurt so much I couldn't pick it up. But I thought, willpower and adrenaline, here we go. And I managed to beat the Russian woman who had just won the gold medal the day before. And
Incredible. I
I'll never
know.
forget
And then
that.
you had an injury when
My
you
arm
came up to
didn't hurt.
Canada and fenced and won that too. I just
That's
can't believe it.
right. That's right.
Oh, so
Poison
listen,
ivy, root
let's talk
trip.
about this.
Right. And
One of the things people love hearing about veteran fencers is how the sport keeps the brain sharp. You've talked about
yes.
emptying your brain of everything except stabbing your opponent. How has fencing helped you stay mentally quick and confident as you've aged?
Well, I think it also helps to learn how to focus and not let things clutter your brain. I'm an overthinker. I'm worried about things all the time. My brain's always going. But I found learning the hard way that if you don't focus on your opponent and what's going on the strip all the time, 100%, you're going to have a problem. You're going to make a mistake. You're going to get hit. Whatever happens, you have to really focus. And by just being calm and thinking about what's at hand, the task at hand, it really does help. But the mental part's important because even
Mhm.
if you can't move as well as you'd like to, the strategy and the fact that the game always changes, it's always different. It's never the same thing. It's not like I mean tennis, okay, you have changes there, you're setting up an opponent, but there's some activities you do like swimming or walking where it's the same thing. Sure, you're moving around, but you're not really changing anything in your mental environment. Here, you're
Mhm.
challenged every day, even with the same opponent. You
Mhm.
fenced, fencing the same person can be sometimes you surprise yourself and you get touches, sometimes you don't.
Right.
But it's a constant changing thing. You have to adapt all the time. And when you think you
Absolutely.
know it, oh, different. So
Exactly.
that's important. As you get older, you really have to do something to get your brain kickstarted with something new, different, and really challenging. And I'll tell you, it is. It is. Many
It
times you think
absolutely
about your
is.
bouts after.
Yep. All
Yep.
right. When we come back, we'll look at the joy of coaching youth. My family has enjoyed fencing at George's Club in Florida over the years. It's been a wonderful and positive experience all around, including my husband. So, George, you look over the Treasure Club fencing club after you took over. Sorry, you took it over after the original coach passed away, and now coach kids of all ages. What's the biggest joy you get from watching a child who's never held a sword before, like here on the table, start to develop coordination, discipline, and confidence?
First, of course, I have to laugh. Think about that sentence. A child who's never held a sword before. That's a little scary. But really, what is so much fun, I never could really understand it when Ken ran the club, the person who had it before, the coach who had it
Mhm.
before. He spent a lot of time with coaching the kids, and he took really young ones too, 5, 6 years old. And I never could really understand why he didn't want to fence more, why he enjoyed it so much. Well, now that I'm in his shoes, I really do enjoy it. I like seeing the kids. We got some kids who are maybe a little shy, kids who are not so outgoing. Um, Sometimes we have kids who have Asperger's and things like that, where it's a struggle for them to focus on certain things. And it's really nice that once they put that mask on and they start learning some things,
Yeah.
they go out there and their personalities evolve and they can actually accomplish things that maybe they thought they couldn't. And for kids who just want a new sport and all, I like to talk strategy to them as well. So I like to see them, even at 9 or 10 or 11, think about ways to set up actions and do things. So as they start getting these actions, it's very satisfying. It's very satisfying because I think about how people taught me to do things I love to do. And I like to share that and give somebody else the opportunity to do something they want to do and hopefully teach them and get them on the path, whether they do it for a long time or whether they just do it for me in club and once school ends, they're
Mhm.
done with it, high school. But I get them usually 4 or 5 years, they hang out and you
Yeah.
start to see them put it all together and have a good time. And that means a lot. That really means a lot. It's very pleasurable to watch them. There are days I go down to club, I don't get to fence at all, but I get to watch the kids and
Yeah.
how they've evolved. And it's wonderful.
It really is. And parents often ask why fencing is better than, say, soccer or gymnastics for long term fitness. From your experience coaching both kids and adults, what unique lifelong skills does fencing build that carry into adulthood and even senior years?
To me, there's just something about it that teaches you so much about you and life. You're one on one with that opponent, and
Mm.
you learn to think on your feet, critical thinking, make decisions that you have to live with. Okay, it's
Yeah.
just a fencing match. Like the life. And you have to learn how to tell the kids when they start. You have to learn how to be a good loser, and you have to learn how to be a good winner. You have to just be a good sport, and all that I think are things you take into life longer as you move on. I've talked to parents. I know a young man who went off into the Air Force. His dream was to be a fighter pilot, which is what he's doing. He fenced over in Naples, and I asked his father what he thought, why fencing was important to him, and he still is. He was still fencing. His brother is doing the same path, and he said that the discipline and that commitment to it shows that you're going to do something. You're going to get a grip on this. You're going to make a commitment to it and you're going to do something with it. And I think that really translates into life. A lot of the kids who I see come through the club move on to some really
Mhm.
interesting paths in life. And I like to see that they realize that hard work pays off. A lot of them are overachievers. A lot of them are that.
I think that's absolutely correct. The discipline and the values they take into their careers and into life, you really see that they learn that there is winning, and there's losing, and there's an attitude that good attitude that goes with that. So you
And I,
compete all
yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
want to say one more thing. There's one other thing about fencing I think that's a real telling thing. You know, you can learn baseball, football, you throw it around, you run around, you can have a game, you can have a competition, but fencing is not easy. And to me, kids who stick with it shows me a lot about their tenacity, and that's what takes you someplace in life. It's easy to quit. It's easy to go, oh, this isn't my
Mhm.
thing. This is too hard. But the kids who hang out and do it, and I've written many recommendation letters mentioning that to me, these kids who sink their teeth into it and don't let go with fencing, something that's hard, it means a lot. So I just wanted to add that.
We only have a few seconds left, but how do you bring that energy after competing back to the club? How do you show the kids that this is truly sport for energy? 10 seconds.
I like to share the ups and downs of it and how exciting it is when you can get a medal, and that's the goal.
That's awesome. When we come back, we'll look at fencing as a lifetime sport. When you work hard, the benefits can be on many levels, from physical strength to personal development. Now, George, you've represented the U.S. 6 times at Veteran World Championships, earned a silver individual, a team silver medals, multiple national and North American Cup golds, and are currently ranked #2 in the world and #1 in the U.S. in Vet 60 foil. Whew, that's a mouthful. Which achievement still makes you smile the most when you think about proving that it's never too late?
Well, the individual accomplishments are great, but I'll tell you something, there's something about those team events that really means a lot. And to do something with a group of other women and we brought home a team gold just last year and the year before. That to me really sticks out. And my very first team event in 2016, when I had fallen on my shoulder, I know I helped us get to the finals. It was something I never in a million years thought I could do. And the fact that I know my team was thinking, what is she gonna do? But I proved them wrong and a lot. And I gained a little bit of respect then. So that was a lot of fun. But it's something that never ever will leave me. I mean, that was just something I'll carry forever. That those team events are something fantastic and never thought I could do it.
You know, I also remember when we were at the Can-Am fencing competition for the vets here in Canada. And what I really appreciated seeing is that they had an award for the Vet 80 category. And I thought,
Yes.
this is
Yeah.
incredible. It's like, this truly is a lifelong sport. So, fencing is one of the few Olympic sports where athletes in their 60s, 70s, and beyond still compete at a high level. What makes it uniquely suited as a lifelong form of exercise compared to running, weightlifting, or other team sports?
Well, I think, people like the fact well, it's an indoor sport, so that's kinda nice. You can do it all the time, you can do it all the
Mhm.
weather. You can also, if you're gonna be doing it recreationally or maybe competing a little bit, you can work if you've got a little leg problem going on, you work your hands, you got some arm things going on, you work your footwork. You can always be doing something to improve yourself. So, it never ceases to be able to be practiced. There's always something you can do. And I think that's super important. Then you can analyze your bouts, think about them, use the mental part too. And I think that combining all those makes it something you can do for a long time. And I see some of those veteran 70-year-olds that you don't know how old they are till they take off that mask. They're
Yeah,
moving like young
exactly.
men.
I know it's pretty
Mhm.
humbling to get beat by someone who's several years older than you.
Oh yeah, so I did that. Yes, I know what it's like.
Yes. Now, for viewers watching at home, whether they're 40, 60, or 70 and thinking, I could never, what's your best piece of advice to get started safely and have fun while fencing?
I think you find a club near you. All of them offer beginner classes because you never know how it starts. That's how it started for me. I was just going to have fun. I knew nothing about the sport. So what you do is you bring patience and you bring a
Mm.
sense of humor and you just have
Yes, a
fun.
big sense of humor.
Yeah, patience, patience and sense of humor because you can't take yourself serious with it. After all, you're running around a room with a sword. Come on. But you have to just look at it like they call it, physical chess, and that's really what it's
Mhm.
like. You're using that sword, the footwork, everything to set up, and you just have fun with it because
Yeah.
what other exercise can you do for? hours and the time just flies. I mean, I know I'll fence and an hour goes by and we say another couple of minutes. Oh, another half an hour has gone by. And you just go and you go and you feel so good at the end, even on a bad day or a bad practice or a bad tournament. It's fun. And the lifelong friends you make, that's the other thing I think is really great. I mean, that's how I know you. And I really
Yeah.
appreciate people who I've met over the past 20 some odd years. And also at my club, the fact that the kids make outside they make friends and
Mhm.
they do things outside of the club and they're friends for years, which also I really like to see that they're not just stuck in the club environment and get along because of that. But I have a number of them who have they go out and do things outside of club, and I think that's really a great. That makes me feel good too. It's we say
Yeah.
come for the boards and stay for the friends.
Absolutely. It's wonderful. George, thank you so much for joining me today. You know how much I love fencing. I hope other people
Yeah.
can see the excitement that you and I both have and that they look into it as a possibility for a lifelong sport.
I
Thanks for
hope people
joining me
give it a try.
today.
Hope people give it a try. Thank you for having me.
Take care. See you next time on A Healthy Dose.